composing a postscript. So, what is a postscript and why am I doing this, Dr. Bright? Two very good questions. So, as we've discussed when we did the assignment sheet and we looked over it way back when, towards the beginning of the semester, there has to be a postscript to your paper. Now, it's an informal writing, so you can number it, bullet point it out. That's perfectly fine with me. But you do have to reflect upon your learning and reflect upon your writing. So going back to reflection, metacognition, why we go through and do this, right? Just remember in the reading that, again, I had you review for today, right? It's, quote, "This ability to theorize and question is especially important for writers engaging in new or especially challenging tasks because it helps writers relocate that knowledge and practice that they acquired." So what we're really going through and doing is trying to help you solidify knowledge of framing an argument, supporting an argument, writing a thesis, and having ways to, attend to audience, attend to genre, look at additional or outside perspectives, all of those things. Like, really what the postscript is intended to do is help solidify that process in your brain. So again, it's a mandatory part of the paper. If you don't include it, I will email you and kind of be like, you have 24 hours, get it to me. Otherwise, we start the late penalties. And after a certain point, I just kind of give up and I'm like 50% off your paper, done. So if you don't do the postscript, best case scenario, you get a 50 out of 100. So do the postscript. Make sure that you do the postscript. All right. That being said, also, there are probably 8 questions to the postscript. You don't have to do all of them. The mandatory postscript questions are the ones with the asterisks. So that would be, in this case, question 1 and question 2. Question 1 is, what are at least 3 ways that you serve your audience, right? If you think about being a wait staff or something like that, right? How are you going to serve your audience, right? 3 ways that you did that. And you can't just say something like, I used appropriate language. No, be more specific. Give me an example. Pull it from your paper, put it in quotes. On page 6, sorry, you're not writing that long. On page 2, I said blah, right? That is a specific example of how you serve your audience. The other one that's mandatory is, what sources, formal or informal, did you consult to go beyond your own experience and opinions and to understand possible reader objections or possible audience objections, right? We need to make sure that we attend to our audience's values and interests and questions as they pop up. So that's where we put our additional perspective or our outside perspective. As soon as somebody reading it would logically be like, wait a minute, what about whatever, right? So what did you consult? What did you add in there? And then also, what impact did these sources have on your opinions and your essay, do you think? Do you think it made it stronger? Do you think it maybe could have been a different perspective? Or by adding this perspective, did it kind of switch your tone a little bit? Or any number of things, right? What impact did it have? Because as soon as we put anything into our writing, it has an impact. So this is the space for you to think about those things, to think about audience, to think about how you served them, and to think about additional perspectives, outside perspectives, and how you included them and what that impact had. So those are the 2 mandatory ones. They can certainly just be number 1, 3 bullet points, number 2, a paragraph, whatever. But you can go through and you can answer the other ones. So remember that reflection is not necessarily just about how you feel about the paper, right? Like, what did you feel? You did good. What do you feel you did poorly on or could do better next time? It's much more than that, right? So number 3, what's your argument or thesis? Oh, side note, if you did an implicit thesis, please, please, please put your thesis in there, right? Write out what your explicit thesis would be if it did occur. That way I know that it's there and I don't miss it somehow or dock points off. So if you tried the implicit thesis, write out your thesis sentence as number 3. The other things though, what did you learn? What did you learn is much more valuable than how did it make you feel or how do you feel you did? So what'd you learn from this essay about writing or about argument or yourself as a writer? Any number of things about narration, about supporting or using narration as a support and as actual evidence. Those are some wonderful things to go through and explore. And, you know, on and on and on. So feel free to do as many as you need to. Make sure, or as many as you want to. Make sure, however, that you always do the asterisk ones because that's what actually has a weight to your grade. In addition to number 3, if you did an implicit thesis. So more reflection, more of that metacognition, that thinking about your thinking. And remember, right, going back to our previous reading there, one of the very last sentences is that, and I lost it, I apologize, is to be an active member of change, to go through and actively be able to make change, to be the change. That comes from thinking about your thinking. All right, next time.